Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode here on the Sticks and Bones podcast with High Priestess Chelsea and Dr. K. Hi, Dr. K. How are you?
I'm good. I am super excited for today's discussion because we're going back to basics and we're starting with probably one of the biggest rifts in Greek mythology. So I'm really excited because High Priestess Chelsea and I have so many thoughts and theories about this that we were trying to figure out how to lay out this podcast earlier and we're like, we got to save it for later. We got to save it for later. We got to give the people what they want.
I know, I don't even think I gave you my full thoughts because I was like, no, I'm just gonna be quiet because we always talk about things before we get on the podcast, and then it's like I forget everything that I said to you, and I'm like,
Yeah.
should have just pressed record at the time. But yeah, so this happens to us a lot here at Sticks and Bones. And this year, obviously, we switched more to Greek mythology. I know last season we were talking more about like ancient Greek religion and how the ancients worship the gods. And now we're really getting it into the myths and the myths that people are talking about in present day. Like what myths are like taking off online? What are people saying? What kind of myths get the people going? And for some reason, this Athena and Poseidon myth, and I am one of these people as well, has really got everybody in a chokehold. And so we were like, why don't we do an episode and talk about Athena versus Poseidon? Because I think it's what people hyper focus on. And it's so interesting. And maybe you don't know the myth we're talking about, but they do have beef. But is the beef as big and as prominent in the ancient world? And don't answer this yet, as we thought.
Yeah, and it's just like one sliver of mythology that people will always trace the beef to, especially since we're looking at the Odyssey and Odysseus, and we just looked at, the Troy saga for Epic the Musical. And everybody on Odysseus's way home is like, "Oh, look out for Poseidon! Like he hates you because of Athena." And it's like, really? Is that what we're saying now? Because I think we gotta crack open our books and really investigate this.
Well, I'm curious, and before before we dive into like today's episode, for those of you listening, drop in the comments below, how big do you think this beef is? Where do you think this myth is found? Don't even look on Google. I want you like if you're a myth person, where do you think you would go to look for this myth? And at the end of the episode, I want to know if anything has changed because we entered, and I'm trying not to give away too much information, into the episode with a certain idea of this myth, and now have left the episode with something completely different. So we're not just talking about Athena and Poseidon today. I think it opens up a bigger conversation of 15 million other things that are very important when you're reading
Yeah.
Greek mythology. So drop in the comments below. Do you think this is a big myth? Where do you think this myth is found? And listen, wrong answers allowed because I most certainly had some wrong answers. And what do you think's going on here? Do you think this is big? Have you heard about this online? Is this like, how did you find out about this myth? That's another thing I want to know.
Exactly. And I feel like there needs to be like a poll at the end about like a
Yeah,
Poseidon poll. Like, what's going on? What are the
right.
girlies doing?
So we're going to dive into it.
We got to.
But before we begin, as always, we have some new announcements and updates. Today is a super exciting day here at Six and Bones Temple because Athena has come to our store. So we have been getting DMs. Are you guys going to drop an Athena candle? Are you doing an Athena collection? Are you going to have stuff for, worship for Athena or for those of us that just love Athena? The people love Athena. I mean, I get it. I got her statue up here. I love her. We've sold her statue.
Hmm.
We today have dropped a whole collection based on Athena. We have beautiful candle oils, room sprays. We have custom Athena incense for anybody that worships her, or maybe you just like really enjoy her. Maybe you're coming from Epic the Musical, or you're a Percy Jackson fan. I find that the Percy Jackson people find me all the time, and they're like, "This is not like my Percy Jackson like fan page information." I'm like, "Welcome, welcome to the people
Welcome.
that
Hi,
practice
welcome,
ancient
Percy
Greek.
Jackson.
Welcome to people that practice ancient Greek religion. I get it. It's a gateway drug. It's a gateway drug.
It really is. Yeah. How did you come in here? Was it Epic? Was it Percy Jackson? I don't know what other books were out there.
We have to
I
make
don't
like a
know.
Venn diagram of like the Greek myth people, the people that practice hellenic polytheism slash ancient Greek religion, the Percy Jackson
Yeah.
people, like the epic people. Like we're all kind of like in this Venn diagram, and we all love
Yeah.
Greek mythology. Like the crossover is Greek gods and Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Oh, and people that are just like studying it, like classics, like archaeologists, like there's a Venn diagram of those people too. So it's like there's just so many of us.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the place. And oh, another exciting thing that we have coming to the temple that is now in the temple today is the warrior candle. This is a new divine feminine archetype we're introducing. It is based off of Athena and Aphrodite. So, and other goddesses that are associated with war. So you can find that if you're like, I need to be a warrior. I'm going through something. I need some strength. Or maybe I just like war epithets of goddesses because it's honestly so cool. So cool. So that is dropping in the temple today and is now part of the Divine Feminine Archetype collection and can be found in the box if you need the warrior archetype. I think that's it.
Ooh, I love that.
We have a lot of fun things. A lot of fun things. So check us out. If you've never purchased from us before, you can click our link in our bio in the description. You can find Six and Bones Temple. We have beautiful, amazing things based on ancient artwork, actual things found in history. We just everything's so
We do it
beautiful.
all here.
Yeah, we do it all.
We do
Anyway,
it all.
what do
And
we
speaking,
have going for extra members this
I
month?
was going to say, we got all the good things going on over on the mystery cult. And as you heard me spoil the beans earlier, we did react to the first saga of Epic the
Oh, we
Musical.
did.
We gave our final thoughts. Will we continue on with the musical? What did we think about Zeus and Athena? And yeah, overall, what did we think? You can go ahead and check that out now. We are also reading The House of Odysseus, which is the second book in the Song of Penelope trilogy. We broke down Ithaca a few months ago, absolutely loved it, and we are eagerly awaiting Helen of Troy. And of course, we are finishing up this month with the many faces of Mr. Unseen himself, Hades of the underworld. We're looking at images of him from our dear friend, the History Channel, Lore Olympus, and so many other things, and comparing it to ancient artwork. And, looking at some very popularized iconography of modern day statues and weighing in of does it fit, really his iconography and all of that kind of stuff.
Would we have the statue in our house? Yes or no? No
Yeah,
or
I
no?
think I think it's more of like a game of smash or pass with
No or
the
no?
the images of Hades. Like, does it fit? No or no?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have so many exciting things, and just sneak peek for May. We are doing Hera on extra members content. I'm not telling you what we're doing, but for those of you that have been asking us, where's Hera? Are you doing Hera? It's coming. So we have a lot of fun things coming out towards the end of this month into next month. I'm super excited. We have so many fun things coming to the store. So be sure to keep up with us on Instagram, Six and Bones Podcast, and also Six and Bones Temple for launches, extra members content, and more.
Yeah, and to quote Princess Diaries, the queen is coming.
For real this time. A lot of people really ride for Hera. We've been getting a lot of DMs, forms, emails. I'm not kidding. I don't know what it is about this time of year, but people are asking for Hera.
I
And
love it.
we were planning to do it anyway. So I'm very excited. I mean, I get it. I think she's awesome. So I get it. But we're not here to talk about Hera today.
No.
Okay. Today we are here to talk about the case Athena versus Poseidon and the fight for Athens. Okay. But I will say, before we even talk about the myth, we have to talk about where this myth is coming from. Because as y'all know here on the Six Months podcast, we will always give you the source so you can go back and look at it. We had some issues trying to find this myth. We were on FaceTime together and we were like, okay, let's pull the myth so that we have it prepared for the podcast. Let's find it. Guess what? Couldn't really find it.
Where?
We
Where?
pulled out all of Homer. We went to Hesiod's Theogony.
I went through everything that I have.
Right. And the myth is referenced in such a very niche way in a few different places. And so
Yeah.
I think what's very shocking is that the story is so big, and I even knew about it, but I never actually read the myth, right? Like, I feel like we all, and yes or no, maybe you guys can disagree with us. I feel like we all know about this myth of Athena versus Poseidon, but I've never actually read it.
I feel like it's always like taught or in Greek mythology books as like a spark note version of like, oh, this is what happened. And we're all just like, yes, yes, I love moving on. And it's just you take it at face value, but when you have when we're going back to settle the beef, where's the beef? Truly.
I was a little surprised, like, and it wasn't even mentioned in any of the hymns that we looked at to the gods. I was like, all right,
No.
maybe this is a story that's told in the hymn to Athena, and there are a few different ones in that we have, and I couldn't even find any reference to this beef of Athena versus Poseidon in some of the main resources that we pull mythology from or that we reference here on the podcast.
Yeah. And even skimming through the Iliad, I was like, okay, well, maybe this, maybe it's kind of like the older heroes like Heracles and everything that predate Troy. So I was like, well, maybe this like fight over Athens is pre-Troy, and that's why Poseidon's got a chip on his shoulder. Like that would make sense.
That's what I
But
thought.
nothing, mom. And I was like, well, are we as readers supposed to know that this already occurred off screen, kind of like the whole Iphigenia stuff? But again, more questions and the avenues to which we usually search on were just like, mom.
Right. And so there is this myth does exist, but we're pulling from pseudo Apollodorus. And so that's not usually a place I go to for um Greek mythology or when I'm looking at things. I know it's also referenced in Pausanias as well. Like very lightly, there's like a brief mention of this beef versus Athena versus
Yeah.
Poseidon. Pseudo Apollodorus has the most in terms of story, but
Yes.
there's a few places where this is referenced, and it's just like a passing sentence of Athena won Athens and Poseidon was angry about it. And we couldn't find the story. I'm like, but I know the story
Yeah.
about the olive tree and the sea. Where is that coming from?
I'm pretty sure it's pseudo Apollodorus.
It is pseudo Apollodorus. What I was trying to say was in those other places, it
We
doesn't
don't
make
know.
reference of that at all.
No, it almost seems like we should already know it.
Right.
And as readers of the period, we have to ask ourselves, would they have been aware of it? Because what was I saying? Pseudo Apollodorus and Pausanias are roughly the same time period, like give or take a few decades within the second century CE. But we get a passing line in Plato in the fourth century BCE where he says, the strife of the gods who contended over her, her being Athens, that's it. So, and that's like 600 years earlier. So, who, where is this coming from and why is nobody writing it down?
I don't know. I know I'm looking now too. There's a brief mention of it in Herodotus as well, but it's not like it's coming from a really, really early source.
No, and it's like, because what Herodotus is fifth
I don't know.
century?
I'm honestly bad with with the timeline of things. But yeah, there is, and I'm pulling this from I believe this translation is coming from Cambridge University, one of
Okay.
those universities, and they have like the sources of where you can also find Athena versus Poseidon. And I saw Herodotus was one of them, and Pausanias and Plato is also listed there, and it's like, but where's Homer? Like I really thought this myth was in Homer somewhere.
Yeah, like or like it was mentioned or it had already happened and like we were all aware of it and we are just like, yes, this makes sense. Anyway, go on with your human chess pieces, Zeus. But it's really fascinating that it comes much later. It comes 400 years after Homer. And then 600 years after that is when we're really getting the the meat of the story from Pseudo-Polydorus, who's saying, okay, like they were vying for Athens and they both came across the area. And, to settle the bet, they had to give gifts to Athens and they picked the winner. And that's how, Athens was won. But like, how is this as a foundation myth not given more history or credence?
I don't know. And it's we today as a society, and I speak for all of us in the Greek mythological retelling world, the Hellenic polytheism, ancient Greek religion, people that just love Greek myth, place so much emphasis on this story. But it's when we went to actually go look it up, there was nothing. And I was really baffled and confused because I am one of those people that carried that myth with me when we are looking at the Trojan War because obviously in my mind Athena and Poseidon have beef because I've heard of this story. Now,
Mhm.
have I read this story? No, but I have heard of it. And I think that's the difference. Like I never it's impossible to keep tabs on all the Greek myths and the retellings and all the 15 million different sources. You'd have to really study this and make this like your full-time job. But I know this myth. I've never read it though, and I think that's the difference.
Yeah, it seems to be that it's mythicized on its own, and maybe that's what we're seeing occurring back in Plato's period, back in Herodotus, back in Pseudo-Polydorus's period and Pausanias's period, that Pausanias going around Greece and talking to people and writing things down, perhaps everybody there was just like, oh yeah, like we all know this story. And they were just like, okay, noting the story down. Okay, cool. And then today we're remythicizing it and placing so much more importance on it, which has carried over into different reflections, into how we're viewing ancient texts, how we are, reading and writing retellings and everything. But yeah, it's really interesting to see that in 2025, we have placed such an emphasis on something that really was kind of just like, yeah, here's a story of Athens.
Right. And just one niche story of like, it's kind of reminds me of Ovid's retelling of Medusa. And it's like, I feel like Poseidon gets so much hate. And now this story too, because now we're all looking at Poseidon through this lens. And it's like, okay, but this is coming so much later. And sure, with mythology, you take what you want, you leave what you want. We have to acknowledge that it exists. But I think what's so fascinating is the power of word of mouth, where I heard
Mhm.
this story. I know this story. I've never read it, but it's has stuck with me. And I think it's because I've heard of it. You hear people talking about it. So you're like, right, so this is a myth. This is things that people are talking about, like art the townsfolk in the street are talking about the story. And now this is how we view Athena versus Poseidon. She has beef with her uncle. And when we read Medusa's sisters, the retelling, that story was based off of the entire beef of Athena versus Poseidon and the fight for Athens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like the power of just someone saying something, putting
Hmm.
it out there, and then people picking it up and running with it. It's not that it's incorrect or wrong. It's just,
No,
I thought this was much bigger
a hundred
than we even
percent.
planned.
And it makes a lot of sense of why, Athens might have this myth come out when people are going around, every necromantia back in the ancient day is saying, well, this is where Heracles dragged Cerberus out, or this is where so and so went down, or this is where Odysseus went to do necromancy. It's everybody's trying to have like their little slice of a claim to fame for something like, oh, Heracles passed through here, oh, so and so did this here. And it's a foundation myth where we are seeing, people wanting to create something where they can connect to their city and have that connection from their city to their gods and everything, and put the city of Athens on the map and be like, well, this is why Athens is so great. Not only did we give you democracy, but we have Athena.
Well, to add to that, another thing that we found in our travels was we don't know if Athens was named after Athena or if Athena was named after Athens. We have no clue. There's so much debate on this, like so much discourse of like which one comes first. And like we literally,
So digging deeper into that, there was another name for Athens. It was very similar, but it was based on the worship of Athena in that area. But a lot of people will say because of this myth, that is why Athens came to
Mhm.
be named Athens after their patron Athena. But I want to remind everybody, Athens wasn't the only town or city to claim that Athena was their patron.
Right.
So in my professional opinion, I'm going to say that Athens 100% existed before, Athena and everything. But I think it's a nice tie in to make everybody understand, why Athens was there and why it was so great and all of that kind of stuff. It really fits, the mythicization of a creation story.
Yes. And I think when we were even, like I said, we were looking at the hymn to Athena as well to see if like this was anything with Poseidon was referenced in the hymn, right? Because it's like this huge fight for Athens. And the only thing that we found was like people praying to Athena to protect their city. And so a lot of people
Yeah.
might take that as like, oh, she's just protecting Athens, but
Hmm.
she was a patron of other cities as well. So it's not just Athens. Like that wasn't even like a
Yeah.
good source to look at of like, oh, here it is, we found it.
Got her.
We
No,
really looked high and low. I mean,
it's really interesting because even with, a temple to Athena was reconstructed recently in Side in Turkey, and it's right on the harbor, and everybody is saying, oh, Is this because of Poseidon being there and all of that kind of stuff with the harbors and everything? But again, the associations of all of these gods do kind of cross over every now and again. And Athena being a patron of craftspeople, you could say maritime trade would have wanted her protection as well.
Yes. And I don't know. I just like I was thinking about this all day today. It's just kind of mind blowing because I feel like I was fooled. I was duped that I thought this myth was just so much bigger. Like, guys, you don't understand. This myth is really just a paragraph in Pseudo Apollodorus. I thought it was gonna be like 3 pages. We're reading like the Iliad, the Odyssey type length. Like they're fighting. There's a trial going on. Poseidon's angry. And I think because of this information now, it has changed my opinion on what I actually think of the relationship between Athena versus Poseidon.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't, and now I feel like I have to look back at the Iliad and the Odyssey through a different lens because the whole entire time I'm thinking that, I mean, obviously Poseidon's going after Odysseus for multiple reasons, one of them being the Cyclops, right? We all understand that.
Yes.
But in my mind too, I thought he was going after him because Athena favors him and they have like this major beef and he's just trying to ruin everything for her. No. I mean, you
No.
can take it that way, but
Yeah. And it's really, yeah, like shocking.
really
I don't,
shocking.
I don't know. Like, I don't get it. Especially like since we've done the deep dives of like Medusa and the Gorgons and everything, we've read Medusa's sister, we've gone up and down the hill with Ovid and his retelling. And it always goes back to like the big three in this fight: Medusa, Athena, Poseidon. And I think I'm still just like not understanding that for this beef to now carry over into everything else. I think okay, I'll be honest. I think Poseidon's beef with Odysseus via Athena on his way home, that's warranted. He kills the Cyclops, sure.
Right.
But like this, like I know the Greek gods are dramatic, but this might be another level. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I have to agree at this point because now when I look at where this myth is originating from, it kind of feels like Ovid's retelling of Medusa, which I don't resonate with at all.
No.
The story's fine. We've done a whole episode on Medusa, and if you're confused and you're like, what do you mean Athena, Poseidon, and Medusa aren't the actual myth? Highly recommend going back to our Medusa episode. We do talk about the actual myth of Medusa,
Yeah.
which has nothing to do with Poseidon, until Ovid came along. And then there was like, Metamorphosis comes out, and whatever you think about that is fine. We have to acknowledge it exists.
Yeah.
It's a Roman retelling.
Yes.
So you can go check out that podcast. But should we spark note the myth for the people? If you're like, what do you mean Athena versus Poseidon versus Athens?
Yeah. Do you want to do it or you want me to do it?
Do you want to start and I'll just kind of
Yeah.
I
So
will interject.
basically, as the story goes, Athens in this area is unclaimed. So, as gods do when they want to be worshipped, they are putzing around the area. It is said, I believe, that in Pseudopolydoros that Poseidon gets there first, and then it's Athena, I believe.
Yes. Poseidon was the first one that came, and then Athena comes after. He comes with his gift, and then Athena comes with hers.
Yeah, so they're both kind of arguing back and forth of no, I should be the patron. No, this is my town. No, this is my city. No, blah blah blah. So at the end of the day, it's getting kind of out of control. It's too much of a kerfuffle. So it's been decided there's going to be a competition, and you're each going to give a gift to Athens. And from these gifts, you are going to be judged, and whoever's gift gets picked, you get Athens. Great, cool. So they each head back to their corner and they pick their finest gift for the Athenians.
I love this. I really do love this story. I don't care what anyone says. I know it comes later, but it is a good story.
It's a good story. It
Good
slaps.
story.
Poseidon's called forth and he says, boy, do I have a gift for you. I believe he like puts a staff in the ground or it's something, but he creates a spring of water comes forth for Athens. The downside is it's salt water. You can't drink salt water. They'll die. So they're like, yay.
Then they have to clap. This is the earth shaker. They're like, oh my God, this is so great. We hate it. Like,
thank you.
thank you.
Athena fluffs her robe. She comes forward, and from her hand, an olive tree grows from the ground and the crowd goes wild. I think we know who wins.
Right.
Athena gets Athens because of that. But the story and the historicity behind it is after the collapse of the Bronze Age, Greece is in shambles, really. So think the time of Homer. Greece is in shambles. They're trying to reconnect trade and everything, but they need to start like resupplying. So from the Bronze Age and even earlier, the people who were inhabiting Greece were already producing olive oil and growing olive trees. But it takes a few years for the olive trees to mature. So this also just harks back to that long held tradition of people in Greece creating and crafting olive oil as a staple trade of them.
I love that fact.
But that's
Um,
that's this is the story.
I so I was listening to you, but I also wanted to make mention of the fact that Zeus is involved in the story, by the way. He's obviously like one of the he's like making sure everything's going. King of the gods is sitting there like, and yes, yes, come on, argue over this land. Um,
Show me why you want this sliver of land that is landlocked. Like Athens is inland, you guys.
yeah, and then it also says too that Poseidon gets so angry, he actually floods the entire land and sinks it underwater. So he's like, you guys didn't want this? Fine, flooding it.
I'd see if
Bye.
I care.
See if
But
I'll save you now.
it's interesting because mythographers and geographers will later comment on the Acropolis, where the Parthenon is, about where statues are. And there are statues of Poseidon and Athena located next to each other on the Acropolis. And there's also a massive temple to Poseidon at Sunyon, which is like a 20-minute bus ride from Athens. So
I think it's just the power of word of mouth that someone somewhere in the deep, dark depths of the internet got their hands on this myth, probably was just talking about it, right? And then obviously people sometimes don't know the timeline of mythology, and I get it. Like timelines are hard for me to follow as well, of like what's coming later, what's not. And then it just kind of like sparks this whole like we're all now talking about it. I know this myth because I've heard about it. I've never actually read it. So that's why I love we're doing mythology on the podcast because we're kind of just getting to the bottom of like where is this actually coming from? What source is this coming from? Is it Roman? Is it a retelling? Like, is it where are we?
dude, I don't know because I'm pretty sure like every major mythology book will mention it in
Right.
like three sentences or less. It's always just like, here's Athena, and like a few lines down, it'll have the story of Athens. And then you go to Poseidon section and it's like the little story of Athens. So it's there, but it's everybody's just been like, uh-huh, next.
Yeah, we all know about this and moving on, right? Athena and Poseidon don't like each other. So it is so interesting, so fascinating, and it triggered us to talk about so many different things at the beginning of this of like we have to talk about the background because we're going to present you with this information and you all probably know the story, but like did you know this?
Yeah, and it really kind of is interesting because I know when we were doing the deep dive in, is Zeus afraid of anybody on the first episode of this season, we also talked about Poseidon. Poseidon was on the front lines, you guys, for the Greeks, fighting against the Trojans and was almost going toe to toe with his own brother. And it it makes a lot of sense now that if he was also on the same side as Odysseus and Athena, if there was actually this beef that was still harbored, I don't think he would be on the front lines with Odysseus, Menelaus, Agamemnon. I don't think he would be there.
I don't know. I think it was just it shapes the way we view the gods and mythology and timelines and stories, and it's truly the power of word of mouth, like honestly. And I even question too, like we were talking about this, like I don't know. I mean, you kind of have to like, we're just never gonna know. It's like, did people just know this story and it just was never written down and this was the story of Athens always? And it's like us today where it's just like this thing that we all know. But I find that hard to believe because it wasn't even once made mention of until we get to like later writing. So I'm like, I don't know. Is it just like the folklore of the townspeople and you're just going through the streets and it's just like this thing that they know?
It
I don't
could
know.
be.
That could
It
be. I don't know.
it could be. That is a huge topic in my own field of oral tradition and putting it into art. And is it what is being referenced later? I mean, I have to look at that with Homer. Is he understanding this oral tradition of this warrior and war? because it's just been told over generations of time from the Mycenaeans onward. Is this just the power of stories?
I think so. I mean, and that's cross-cultural, cross-religion, cross-mythological religious books
100%.
and texts. Like it's just we all just know the story about Athena and Poseidon, but
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel like I would do like PR for Poseidon because I feel his rage for Odysseus is kind of on par with Helios's
it is.
rage against the sailors who for his sacred cattle. So I think it's kind of like, oh, well, you did X, so Y is going to happen to you. So I'm like, okay. Is it because he hates Athena? I don't think so. I think she's unfortunately collateral damage.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely because of Odysseus's mistake. I mean, he killed his son. I mean, that's a big deal, you know. And the gods were just using the Greek heroes as their own chess pieces anyway, so I don't think they were like really so fond of them unless they favored them. They were just like, yeah, I need to get you from point A to point B because we have something to do here. I have to win.
And Poseidon's like, there's a lot of miles between Troy and Ithaca, my boy. You're gonna have to get in the water at some point.
Yeah, and also too, like Poseidon's a king, you know what I mean? Like he rules over his own realm. I always say this every episode because I love this. His title is the Earth Shaker, and so what do you think's gonna happen to you when you encounter him, right? Like this god that's a king called the Earth Shaker. We're not going to expect him to be like Zeus. I feel like is more king of the gods, but is more like mellow. I feel like Hades doesn't want to be seen. I feel like Poseidon is just like I feel like he's just so intense. And
You
we
dare
see that.
challenge me, human?
Right, like he's one of those type of gods, you know what I mean? Like I feel like he has no patience. He doesn't want your crap and just like leave him alone, just like get out of here.
Yeah, I also like now thinking back to like the Odyssey and everything, I'm like, my buddy in Christ.
My buddy and Zeus.
My buddy in Zeus, why did you not just stop island hopping and just go to the mainland and walk home?
I don't know.
I would have been like, you know what? I'm being hunted by the god of the sea. I'm gonna go on land. You can get from Troy to Ithaca. I mean, the mainland to Ithaca is like a little bit of water, but like I would have walked. I would have been on land. Catch me not going in the water.
Yeah, I mean, and also too, when you think about it, he is a god of the sea. So when you think of the sea is always raging. I am terrified. We had this conversation in one of our earlier, I think, season one episodes. Are you more terrified of space than the ocean? And I answered ocean. Jeopardy. Put me in for the ocean because we don't know anything about it.
Oh, that's where the eldritch terrors live down there. No, thank you.
I don't know what's down there. We can't even get too far into the ocean. Okay, at least I know space is creepy, but like the ocean, I have no idea. There are things down there. There's probably like dinosaurs floating around down there and we just don't even know. Like
I don't know, man.
some like crazy sharks and like in the deep sea. You ever see a deep sea fish? No thanks. I'm good. Poseidon rules over that. So like have a good day.
Yeah, it's a no from me.
Sorry, I could deal with a lightning bolt. I can deal with the Lord of the Dead. I am not dealing with the ocean.
Catch me hauling ass from Troy to Ithaca
Yeah,
on land.
no thanks. And like drowning, have a good day. I'm good on
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm good on all of that. I get Odysseus. I get him to my very core where he's like, "No, I'm not even gonna chance it. Not even gonna chance it." And even when he did have passage home, Poseidon still made it really hard for him.
Yeah.
So
Mm-mm.
anyway, yeah, I am curious to know, did this change your opinion on Athena and Poseidon in general? Because I feel like he is portrayed as like one way, and the story definitely does not help because he didn't win. He just flooded the whole island. I feel like he's always seen as like some angry, like
The humbug.
wrathful god, like
I don't know. I feel like Poseidon gets a lot of flack, hatred for no reason. And I think it's just unfortunate that he is a brother of Zeus and has been put into not great positions by later authors. I'm looking at you, Ovid. And, you know, the earlier Greek writers are just like, yeah, the earth shaker, you know, he's doing this. He's laying with a Gorgon. He's having a fun time. He didn't win. He flooded. What do you know? He's hunting a man because he killed his son, but he was on the front lines at Troy.
Yeah.
And I like that Poseidon.
I have no problems with Poseidon. Listen, I have to travel the ocean because I'm going on vacation, and I guess who I'm praying to? Poseidon. Thank you for rite of passage over your ocean, sir. I will say a prayer.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of necessary hate for Poseidon.
You know what? I think we're gonna have to do a PR episode on Poseidon. I think this is what just came out of this episode. I'm looking at our calendar. I'm like, I think August might be the time. Like, I'm looking at. Listen, we have things planned out for decades, but I'm like, I'm thinking August might be the month. We are doing
I'm saying, hear ye. What's going on? Why the hate for my boy Poseidon?
the
What's
Earth
going
Shaker
on?
himself.
Hmm? What's
It's
going
because
on?
of the story.
Because the story, I need proof.
I need more proof than that.
Yeah, I have a lot more questions now, and I don't really think Athena's involved too much. Like, I think, hear me out. I think Mr. Earthshaker himself, if I may be so bold, I think he combusts. He's the type of anger that just unleashes immediately and then is done. He's like, I moved on. Like, I'm on the front lines with the Greeks. Go Greeks. But, you know, these retellings, both modern and ancient, they're just kind of painting him as this vengeful old man who is never going to leave this poor hero alone.
That's true. It's true. And I feel like because of what people think and because of the story, I mean, it's invaded my sphere where I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's right. That's true. Because I never actually went to go look back at the myth until we do a podcast episode and I have to go look back at the myth because I have to pull the source and I'm like, wait a minute. This is
Wait
not
a
right.
minute, the math ain't mathin'. Plus, I also don't think there was that much beef after Athena got Athens. She was kind of like, great, put an owl on my coin, have a nice day. That was it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of very weird interpretations of mythology, even with Athena as well. And I'm very excited to continue this season. And, we have a lot of fun things lined up. Another thing that we're going to be doing is do Aphrodite and Persephone hate each other because of Adonis?
That's a
So,
wild one too.
right, it's a wild thing we're going to talk about, but it's just because through word of mouth, these are some things through our lens in modern day people have taken from Greek mythology. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but like let's take a look at this. Let's look at it
Mm-hmm.
and like what's
Or
going on.
even, I'm blanking on the month. Maybe it's June that we are doing a deeper dive on Athena, because we've seen a lot of kind of girl on girl crime about saying Athena's not for the girls or the women.
You're right, it is June. Yeah, that's gonna be our
Is it
PR
June?
episode. Yeah, we're doing Hera PR next month. Is does Hera have the right to be super vengeful? Would you have done these things if your husband consistently cheated on you? I don't know. We're gonna take a look at it. We're gonna take a look at some things that people are saying and like, do we agree? Is that how we're taking the mythology? Um, but Greek mythology is up for debate. So like this is why it's lasted for so long. Like we say in every episode, you can sit here and think about it and see it through many different viewpoints.
100%. The moment you think you have something, you come up with 15 million other questions that you just want to slam your head into a wall.
Yeah. I mean, this one was really hard when we were researching. I was like,
There's got to be more. That's it. That's it.
yeah, I just the way that we're all talking about this myth, I thought it was just like
this is
everywhere.
this is the foundation of Athens, and it's this big.
Yeah, yes, literally, yes. This is what we're basing Athens on. And what do you mean? It's not written in Homer. Like, I don't get it.
What do you mean this isn't plastered at every street corner in Athens on your way up to the Acropolis?
Like, you know how we have to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States? I thought they had to say this. Like, that's really where I was at with that. Like, I don't, what?
Yeah, I just like I'm now thinking back to when I was on the Acropolis or even at the Poseidon Temple in Sunyon. I'm like, you would think people were out there handing out flyers. Like,
You know what? Next time either of us is in Greece, I'm asking. What do they know? What do No, honestly, there is a huge difference in like what people in different countries know about Greek mythology based on what people are talking about in that country based on Greek mythology. So it's like, what do the people of Greece, and if you're from Greece and you're listening to us, What's going on here? Is this plastered in like notebooks? Like, do people know of this myth everywhere? Is this just, I mean, I know they know of it, but like, do you take it like this? Do you know it's from Pseudo Apollodorus? I need to know.
Yeah, are you like when you guys taught this? I don't know. I feel like I was taught this in like sixth grade, and then we were just like, okay, moving on. That was the tale of Athens.
Right. Like,
They gave
why
us
do I know this
democracy and
story?
Poseidon versus Athena.
No, word of mouth is so scary because like where did I learn this information that's just in my brain? Where did this come from? I couldn't even tell you when I heard this story, how, why, like why do I know this information?
How do we all know this, but we cannot pinpoint exactly when it happened?
It's so scary, but that's true like word of mouth.
Yeah, you're just like, man, did you hear what happened over in Athens?
It's like gossip. Like
Is this ancient gossip?
I think it is.
Could you imagine just like going out and selling your wares? Like, okay, you're going from Athens to like, you have to go see the Pythia or something at Delphi, and you're like schlepping up there, and you're like, you get a meeting with the Pythia, and you're just like, did you hear about Athens?
It's underwater right now. Like,
Girl, you're never gonna believe what happened.
yeah,
The Earth Shaker.
I don't know. Like I'm just so like I said, I was left with more questions than answers as always. And sometimes I'm like, every time we go to do these episodes, I'm like, my brain just hurts. I don't know.
Yeah, but all right. Final question: how big of a myth do you think this actually is, and do you think it actually plays a role in anything other than just telling the story of how Athens came to be?
You're asking me.
Mm-hmm.
I I think for the people of Athens, maybe it's a big myth, but I don't. I mean, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer because it is a big myth today. So it's like it depends on who you're asking. I'm gonna say it's a big myth because people are taking it and running with it, and they can, right? It's a myth that's written down, but maybe for the people of Athens and in modern day, and it's in all these retellings now. I think it's pretty big. Do I think it was big in the ancient world? No.
Do you think in the ancient world, this myth had people change their opinions of Poseidon, or do you think they were just like, ah, it's the gods. It's not my house, not my circus, not my monkey.
No, because I feel like we would have heard about it a lot more.
Mm.
If people were so harping on, okay, so I take Zeus for example, like
Yeah.
where all these stories of him stepping out on Hera and like some of them come a little bit later as well. It's like I feel like the ancient peoples actually were running with that, taking that. They believe that. They were like, this is Zeus, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
who he is. When Zeus, along came Zeus. But I feel like if this was so big in the ancient world, there would have been so much more reference to it in other places. Like, I don't,
A hundred
it's
percent.
weird that it's coming later for me. And I think that's what's like kind of stopping me from saying it's,
And it doesn't have any, I don't want to say cause and effect because that's not the right verbiage, but what you said about Zeus, I 100% agree with. And let's say the kidnapping of Persephone, because that leads to the Eleusinian mysteries. And there's a
yes.
whole performance and mystery rites out of it. Same with Dionysus. So I don't know, maybe it was just big for the people of Athens and for everybody else in other cities throughout Greece and Anatolia. They were just like, great, Athena also watches over my town too. Oh no.
It's kind of like how I feel about when we talked about Iphigenia of where
Hmm.
is this made mention of, and it's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I almost kind of feel like that's bigger and it's in the ancient world in a sense because there were plays literally of Iphigenia and things
Yeah.
happening and performances. And I feel like
I'm trying to think.
this is not really
No, because I don't. Yeah, because really the only beef between them is Odysseus.
right. And then there would have been more beef. If they actually had this long-standing beef, we would have had other stories come out about Athena and Poseidon going after each other. Like, because you know how gods are, they argue, they fight. We're going to see that over and over again. Look at Hephaestus coming back for Aphrodite with the cursed necklace of Harmonia, which we talked about on the extra members content. He came back for her and said,
Also,
I'm gonna curse your whole family.
he also came back for his mom and said, "Sit your ass down on the chair, do what I ask, and I'll let you go." Like,
Right. So like I feel like there's no way it was
there's no
just one
fight.
beef and we moved on. Like, no.
I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like if it was that big, there would have been more. And if the only other evidence, air quotes, is Ovid with Medusa, I'm not going to buy that.
No. I don't that myth does not exist in my world. Like I just
I think I'm going to take it as like It was great. Everybody was like, yay, Athens, glad you have a patron. Moving on.
I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So we just have to look at it through that way. But I don't know. What does everyone else think? Like those of you listening to us out here, does this change your opinion on Poseidon and Athena? Do you still view them through that lens? That's okay if you do, because it's a myth. But I don't know. I think this widely changed my opinion. What about you? You think it's
I think it's changed my opinion to be more open to seeing where all the lore, especially when we're looking at the major characters and players of the Trojan War, see when their lore is developed and try and put my feet in the shoes of somebody who was during Homer's time and then go from there because I think we could have our biases shoot differently if we are thinking that this is such a big myth when it's like three sentences.
I couldn't believe. Like I was my jaw dropped on the floor.
Shocked.
I don't know, and I think I'm still disappointed. Honestly, I was really disappointed to find. I really was because like this is just something that I was just like, yeah, this is it. This shapes the way I viewed everything, and it's just I'm okay to admit that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it shaped the way I viewed so many things. So now when I looked it up, I was like, oh my God. Now I have to rethink everything, but that's okay. This is why we do the podcast. So if you're also on the same as me, where you had to rethink your whole, this is how I'm viewing the Trojan War, welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. And yeah, if we're ever in Greece or Turkey, I'm going to be standing out there squinting, asking some questions, asking the people the hard hitting questions.
Excuse me, I have some questions for you.
Let me take out my stone tablet.
I'm sure they would love it, honestly.
Oh, they do. They love anytime I've worked in Greece or been there visiting, the best people are there and so welcoming, so happy to talk about their history. They love archaeologists. It's a great time and I'm dying to go back.
Um, all right,
Anything
anything else for today's episode? I mean, I think we kind of just threw a lot out there, so I know take a minute to digest because I'm still reeling over this, even though we talked about it a few days ago. I'm like,
I know. I might need to go snorkel and like be in the ocean and just be like, what did I just open today?
I don't know. I don't know, but this is why we do this. This is why we do it.
No, 100%. So don't forget to join the extra members content over on YouTube or Patreon. We've got two options for you guys there. Don't forget to check out Sticks and Bones Temple for all of your Greek myth inspired goodies, whether it's for worship or the Percy Jackson lovers out there. Hi, how are you? And yeah, don't forget to check out both of our extra supplemental podcasts, High Priestess Chelsea and the Dirt Diaries. And yeah, I'm actually thinking of setting up a Greek mythology trip. So let us know what you guys think at the bottom. And we will see you guys next week. Oh, I just remembered what next week is. I'm so excited.
What's next week?
It's Odysseus.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'm like, we're not podcasting next week. We're filming a lot of things, but I'm like, where are we now on the schedule? I have no idea. We have so many things. We're talking about Persephone and Hecate next month. There's just so much going on here at Six
Oh,
Months.
all right. Let's just give the people a little tasting, if you will. So we've got ranking Odysseus's craziest actions and adventures on his way home. Then we have Persephone and Hecate. We are looking at those two because we were talking earlier, and I think so many people just forget that they're so heavily intertwined with one another.
We're not telling you how. You're gonna have to wait for the episode to drop.
And
But
then I forget what comes out after that.
that's really it for that month. We're doing Zeus versus Kronos. We have Aphrodite and Persephone, Dionysus and Ariadne. We're doing Clytemnestra. So
I'm
stay
so
tuned.
excited.
Don't forget to subscribe to us. Follow us on wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're listening to us on YouTube. Comment. It really does help us continue to grow here on YouTube and our YouTube community and
Mhm.
help other amazing people find our content so we can all be a little community together and talk about these crazy things about Greek mythology.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. So until next time, we will see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.